In today's episode, we have a super special and funny guest.
Okay, so today we're here with Ron from the English Funcast, and we're so happy to have you here. Thanks so much for joining us today, Ron.
Thanks for having me.
All right, great. So we're really excited to have you here, and we'd love to kind of ask you a couple of questions about your podcast, about what you're doing over at English Funcast.
Yeah.
All right, sure.
All right, cool. So, Gabby, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, so just tell us a little bit about you and about the Funcast. Tell us about what you do.
All right, so I'm originally an English teacher. I taught in China for a few years, and then I came back to Canada, and I'm teaching here at like a private high school. And in my spare time, I like to do comedy. I do a lot of stand-up comedy. I go to different bars in Toronto, and I tell jokes. And what I did was I created the English Funcast podcast, where it's a method where I can like tell jokes and at the same time teach English. Because when you like learn from jokes, if you laugh at a joke in English, it means you actually understood the joke. And there's a lot of puns you can learn, like homonyms and like stuff like that.
Excellent.
Oh, that's so cool.
I like that.
I love stand-up comedy.
That's
fun.
great. Do you sometimes get some of your listeners to come and listen to you in Toronto doing the comedy?
No, not really. I never got any listeners to come in Toronto. I was in New York actually last year, and I had some of my listeners come to see my show there, but they didn't really understand my jokes. I think my stand-up that I do in bars is much different than the ones I do on my podcast.
Absolutely.
I could see that.
Yeah, that's great. So what do you think is the benefit of sort of learning English with humor? What would you say?
I guess it's exciting. Like it gets like the listeners or like the learners focused, and like when they start reading it, if they read it over and over again, once they understand it, they'll actually start laughing, and this way they know that like they understood what they just read.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It probably really helps people relax.
Yeah. I was teaching a class today. Do you guys know who Rasta Mouse is?
No, I don't think so. Do you know who that is?
No.
Have you heard of Rasta Mouse? They have this show in Canada. I think they sold it to the US. It's like a Rastafarian children's show for learning English.
Whoa.
Wow.
But all they do is they speak like Jamaican slang, and it's hilarious.
Interesting.
That's different.
Yeah.
So like I made my students watch it today. So it's like they speak like, "Me want to go eat the cheese, man. Who be thieving the cheese?"
That's great. You sure you're not Jamaican?
No, I'm definitely not. But they were confused because I had the captioning on. It's on Netflix. I made them read the captioning, and they have like completely wrong spelling. So they spell like me like M-I, or like instead of this T-H-I-S, it'd be like D-I-S.
Oh, okay.
So I had to teach them like the difference, how like this is not like real proper English, but it's more of a slang English.
Oh, interesting material. I bet that was fun for your students.
Yeah, man, they had a blast.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. So what do you see as the vision for English Funcast in the future in terms of your students? Like, what do you want them to be able to do?
I just wanted to, improve their English and have a good time while doing it, right? Like, I think the most important thing when, like, studying a language is to be able to motivate yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's many different methods out there, and people have to find the best method for themselves. And if they like to laugh and learn, then maybe that's a method that they'd enjoy.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, everybody likes humor. I think like 99% of people, right, like humor. So it seems like a great motivator to learn.
And we know that people are looking for a different way to learn English. So that's.
I think it can be difficult to learn humor and to have a sense of humor in a second language because there's so many like double entendres or double meanings or like cultural references. So how do you help English learners to get there to understanding some of those like the puns or the double meanings or cultural references?
I read jokes. I have a joke right now. Can we do a joke right now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's hear
All right. So this is a joke I have. It's not the greatest joke, but it's okay. It's last night I went to a 24-hour grocery. When I got there, the guy was locking the front door. I said, "Hey, the sign says you're open 24 hours. He goes, "Not in a row." That was an okay joke. But what's good about that joke is that they learn like I can like talk about like how there's like different like grocery stores like I guess in Canada and US like 7-Eleven and they're open 24/7.
Yeah.
Right? Some countries I guess you don't have that and like the meaning of not in a row, right? So in a row it means it's continuous. But not in a row means that there's breaks. Like when you go to work, you don't always work 8 hours in a row. You can say I work maybe 4 hours and then I'll go on break for lunch and then I'll work 4 more hours in a row.
Oh, interesting.
That's
That's really key information to understand if people are living in Canada and, trying to get around.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
cool. Yeah, so you break down the joke and make sure that the key parts are understood.
Great. Well, this has been great. Ron, thanks so much for coming to talk with us today, and it's been really exciting to meet you. So can you let our listeners know where they can find you online?
So you guys can find me online at EnglishFuncast.com and on Facebook at Learn English Funcast. That's our fan page.
All right, cool. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah,
All right, thanks all for having me.
All right, take care.
All right, bye-bye.